Good day, everyone. Today we're going to present our analysis on the article on adsorption of polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces. To begin, the article explores the behavior of polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces using molecular dynamics simulations. The study aims to analyze changes in the internal structure of a single hairy particles on surfaces with increasing strength of segment-substrate interactions. This article is relevant especially to our course as it also briefly mentions other studies related to the use of nanoparticles in nanomedicine and drug delivery. These studies have demonstrated the potential of nanoparticles for targeted drug delivery and other medical applications. However, they also highlight the importance of understanding the behavior of nanoparticles on solid surfaces as this can impact their effectiveness and potential side effects. Now, moving forward with the study's research problem. The study's research problem is to scrutinize the behavior of polymer tethered nanoparticles on solid surfaces, specifically their adsorption and the structures of adsorbed monolayer films. With this research problem, the study now is summarizing the three major objectives. The first one being to investigate how interactions between polymer tethered nanoparticles affect their behavior on solid surfaces using molecular dynamics simulations. The second is to examine how hairy nanoparticles adsorb on solid surfaces, including the structure of the monolayer films, and evaluate factors such as segment-substrate interactions and solvent quality. The last one and the third one is to use knowledge of polymer tethered nanoparticle behaviors and properties in various environments to create optimized materials for nanotech and environmental applications.
There are several characterization techniques have been employed in the article adsorption of polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces in order to evaluate the surface properties of the polymer tethered particles and the solid surfaces they absorbed onto. These techniques were employed to acquire an in-depth understanding of the surface properties of the polymer tethered particles and the solid surfaces onto which they adsorb, as well as to explore the impact caused by different parameters on their adsorption behavior. It could possibly be seen as an environmentally hazardous threat or as a product bioaccumulating in the trophic chain. As a result, techniques to remove such pollutants must be established. Aeration, coagulation, and adsorption are all methods used to remove nanoparticles from water. Aeration is a technique that brings air or oxygen into a liquid or other substance. Aeration is frequently employed in surface science to remove bubbles or stir up the liquid, which may enhance mixing or urge chemical reactions. Coagulation, on the other hand, is also a technique that involves the destabilization and aggregation of small particles into larger particles. Coagulation can be employed in surface science to analyze the aggregation behavior of particles on surfaces or to prepare larger particles for further research. Furthermore, the authors studied the adsorption behavior of the polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces using a range of experimental techniques. Ellipsometry and atomic force microscopy, or AFM, are two techniques used in surface research to study the adsorption properties of molecules or particles on surfaces. By definition, ellipsometry is an alternative technique to assess the thickness and refractive index of thin films on surfaces. This is significant when analyzing particle adsorption behavior under different situations. Additionally, atomic force microscopy, or AFM, is a high-resolution imaging technique that might provide data about surface topography and mechanical properties. This permits high-resolution imaging of the surface topography of polymer tethered particles and solid surfaces. This technique has been employed to determine the particle size and shape, as well as to explore the effect of various parameters on their adsorption behavior. Furthermore, the SCF-DFT, or the self-consistent field density functional theory, is a computer-based technique used to analyze the electronic structure and properties of materials and surfaces in material science and surface chemistry. It may be employed to estimate the adsorption energies, as well as the geometries of molecules or particles on surfaces, as well as to forecast surface features, including surface energies and work distributions. Lastly, the nose-hoover thermostat is a technique often employed in molecular dynamics simulations in order to maintain the system under simulation at an appropriate temperature. It might imitate the action of particles or molecules on surfaces under various conditions, such as temperature or pressure changes.
The article discusses the results of molecular dynamic simulations of adsorption polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces and how they provide insights into the structure of surface layers at the atomistic level. In the case of the considered hairy particles, as segment substrate interactions become stronger, the relative shape anisotropy of the segment cloud increases, indicating that it is more asymmetrical, which is consistent with experimental observations for isolated particles of polystyrene grafted gold nanoparticles near substrate with varying surface energies, where it was observed that as favorable interactions between the polymer and the substrate increased, the polymer became more asymmetrical. The competition between interparticle interactions on the substrate and in the bulk phase, as well as the entropy effects associated with changes in potential chain topologies at the surface, reveal that adsorption is a complex process. Furthermore, the Boltzmann average effective particle substrate potentials were also examined to acquire a better understanding of the adsorption mechanism. These potentials are softly repellent in close proximity to the wall, then attractive in the region of the monolayer of course, and repulsive again at farther distances. The density profiles vary when the shape of the function with the energy parameter varies. The attractive well of the weakest adsorbent is substantially shallower and wider than those of the stronger adsorbents, whereas the repulsive part of the effective potential is lower. In terms of adsorption isotherms, the excess adsorption increases as the energy parameter increases for relatively large particle densities, but at low densities, a more complex correlation is discovered. Additionally, the real particle adsorption was estimated and approximated using Langmuir equation, which produced a satisfactory result. It is also stated that the impact of energy parameters for both adsorption isotherms is at the same at high bulk density.
In this study, coarse-grained molecular dynamics simulations were used to examine the behavior of polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces. The study's primary goal was to investigate the morphology of the surface layers formed by these particles on different substrates. The results presented undoubtedly shed light on how the substrate might affect both the shape of the adsorbed layer and the behavior of polymer tethered particles. This area of study is particularly significant since polymer tethered particles are frequently disregarded outside specialized domains such as material science, nanotechnology, and biotechnology. Despite their promise for practical applications, many researchers are unaware of these particles' distinctive features when they interact with solid surfaces. As such, investigating the effects of substrates on polymer tethered particles can help us to better understand these particles and their potential for usage in a variety of practical applications. This is taking into consideration that our planet is deteriorating at an alarming rate due to human activities. Case in point, the need for innovative environmental protection measures has become more urgent than ever. The uncontrolled dumping of industrial waste, agricultural runoff, and plastic garbage into bodies of water has resulted in a considerable increase in water pollution. This has led to the extinction of aquatic life, the deterioration of ecosystems, and the extinction of biodiversity. As a result, developing the effective solutions to remove toxins from wastewater is critical for the preservation of our planet's natural resources. The absorption of polymer tethered particles on solid surfaces is an innovative approach to address the problem of water pollution. Compared to traditional methods of wastewater treatment, such as coagulation, this method is more efficient, cost effective, and eco friendly. Bearing in mind the above mentioned details, the use of polymer tethered particles for absorption on solid surfaces is a promising approach for environmental protection. It has the potential to revolutionize the way we treat wastewater and combat water pollution. By implementing innovative environmental protection measures like this, we can help preserve our planet's natural resources and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come.